Bitcoin is in trouble, bigger trouble than what's come prior. We had the FTX collapse, we had the mega crash from 69,000 plummeting to our lows, but there's something bigger brewing in the background, something that has the power to affect the next few years, not the next few days or next few weeks, the next few years. I'm going to share that with you in today's video. Hit that subscribe button. My name is Steve. Let's jump into it. The first thing I'm going to share with you is a death cross. Now, you've seen a lot of death crosses on this channel. We show you the death crosses on the 1 day, we have 3 day. What I've never showed you is a death cross on the weekly. Why have I never shown you a death cross on the weekly? We've never come close to it. We were covering Bitcoin back here in 2017. We never came close to a weekly death cross. And now I'm going to share with you when it's scheduled to happen and what implications this could have on Bitcoin. But there's another chart that I want to explain in this video, and that's right here. Since 2013, the volatility of Bitcoin, these lines right here are the volatility of Bitcoin, and they have been falling since 2013. What does that mean? And why is Bitcoin in a very, very large descending triangle with our volatility? And how could that implicate Bitcoin in the next few years? It's going to be a very scary scene, but let's break down one by one, because we've got this weekly death cross and we've got this long-term descending triangle in the volatility of Bitcoin. So let's start here with the weekly death cross, and this is quickly approaching. We came a little bit close to it at the tail end of our 2015 bear market, right before we recently avoided it. So we dropped from our double bottom. This was our double bottom here, and the double bottom dropped so far that it pulled our moving averages down, and we nearly had a weekly death cross. But because we've had our double bottom, we started rallying out of that bottom, and we rallied really quickly from about $160 to $500. And that rally helped us avoid the weekly death cross. This is when we came really, really close. Now, could we avoid the death cross, the weekly death cross of 2022, or is it completely unavoidable? And when is it scheduled to happen? It's scheduled to happen right now at the end of January of 2023. Now, if you look, these are moving averages, right? So if price continues to go down, this will happen sooner. The weekly death cross will happen sooner. If prices rally, it could prolong this death cross. But it looks to be right now inevitable. Based on the moving averages, based on where they are, based on the percentages that they're apart, we would need a really large rally above this green line, which is, above 28,000, which right now is a little bit unlikely. We could have a little rally depending on where we fall with our bullish divergence, but Bitcoin would need a very large rally to avoid this. Keep in mind, when we avoided it in the past, we had a large wick. This wick was telling us that there was a lot of buying power in the market and our momentum was already heading up. We're not seeing those wicks in today's market. We don't have, if this was a large buying wick and this closed up here around 20K, then I would say, yeah, we could definitely avoid this weekly death cross. But we're not showing signs in the market that that is a possibility for Bitcoin at the moment. Keep in mind, we've also never been below this red line, right? We've been below it just briefly in 2015, but we're consistently below it now, and that leads us into the theories that we presented in the past videos with, being below this purple line and being below this red line and also being below here in the RSI. So this is not a coincidence. This is not from the FTX. This is literally because each cycle in Bitcoin is 5.3 less powerful than the prior one, right? The cycles are weakening, plain and simple. What's more interesting to me is this, because this has been playing out for 8 years. For 8 years, this is Bitcoin's volatility. So we can see the prices correlate to the volatility. We had the highest volatility here when Bitcoin's price was just exploding. in 2013. And we started to have less volatility with our market cycle top here. We had even less volatility with our next market cycle top in 2017. And we had even less volatility here with the COVID crash. We had even less volatility with our market cycle top back here in early this year, early February of this year. So you can see how this has been playing out for the past 8 years. Our volatility is dropping, and it's dropping quickly. Each cycle has a lot less volatility. But what does it say that we're in a descending triangle with our volatility? This is major. Descending triangles, by definition, have a high, a lower high, a lower high, a lower high, a lower high, while revisiting a similar base, right? We have our base right here, this yellow line, for our indicator, but we can even lower it, right? If we lowered it down to this base of about 30, 32, it would make more sense. But the point is, this is a descending triangle. The majority of them break to the downside. This is a problem. If our volatility for Bitcoin breaks to the downside, which this is a formation, right? Break to the downside would mean that we have almost no volatility in Bitcoin, which would mean that price is kind of at a standstill, which would mean that Bitcoin is in trouble long term, short term, medium term. It would be pretty large trouble if this were to continue the way it's going. And this is how it's been going for 8 years. It goes along with our 5.3 theory, and our 5.3 series basically says each cycle you can get the next cycle top by dividing by 5.3 from the previous cycle top with the percentages. This one, the weekly death cross, I'm not as concerned with. You know, that's sort of inevitable. What I would be concerned on a larger scale is how this plays out over the next couple of years, right? Do we somehow, go into a quiet period where we lose a lot of our volatility and the volatility is very slow and everybody gives up on Bitcoin, and then we start a new kind of 14, 15-year cycle where we have a lot of volatility coming into the market? That could also happen. It's far too early to tell, but I wanted to bring it to your attention. I find this very interesting, and let me know in the comments down below. How do you think this is going to play out over the next couple of years? Let me know in the comments down below. Peace and love to the fellow underdogs. Do you want to know when to buy and when to sell? Click this video right now.